Hi, Gwendolyn and Adria. Long time no vlog, but I wanted to do a makeup episode. So I also made a life updates episode. I'm not sure which order you'll end up watching these in, but this one is more thematic. It's about sleep. So I'm wearing here the top to my pajama set. They're my favorite pajamas because they they're black, so you can't see all the stains from food I spill on myself. And they have pockets, and they match, but like not in a like for me, any matching pajama set is one half of it's going to be terrible and not fit. And this, it doesn't. It all fits, and I feel like an adult, like a nap time adult. Sleep has been on my mind because, Adria, you were talking about you get the springtime blues, you get depressed in the spring. I get winter anxiety. I've noticed as a pattern. I have to really fight to kind of keep perspective on things in the winter, and I'd been having a bit of a rough time for a couple of months, and this last few weeks to a month, it feels like I'm finally coming out of it for the spring, and not necessarily to do with the season. It's just it worked itself out and got out of my system. But one of the things about when I get really anxious is I have a really hard time sleeping. I wanted to talk about things I do to help myself get to sleep. Unsurprisingly, one of my favorite things to do to get to sleep is to read. I got a stockpile of books. What can I say? I've always loved to read. We're English majors, is what we do. But I got more determined about carving out that specific time for reading after I read all of these studies and took classes even where we talked about the ways in which artificial lighting messes up your circadian rhythm and makes it ultimately harder and harder to keep a normal sleep schedule. I also read somewhere that when you're sleeping, your verbal centers are turned off, and what's activated is the visual centers of your brain because your eyes are moving, they're generating stimulus, they just fire randomly, and your neocortex is making sense of that, and that's why you dream in images that often don't connect or make sense. And so I've heard that trying to get to sleep, instead of telling yourself a story or kind of instead of imagining things in words, which I would often do. I mean, I've done that my whole life, and I just get caught up imagining things. Imagining things visually, so picturing things and not letting yourself verbalize what's happening, that can actually help you get to sleep. And it has worked for me. I don't know why I don't do that all the time, but when I've tried, it's definitely helped. It's a very specific thing that I picture. And for some reason, I like to picture a little goldfish in a bowl, and it's at the bottom where the pebbles are, and it's just like, just mouthing the different bright blue pebbles. And you can hear like the water filter going. Good time. Speaking of fish water noises, I often like to listen to rain and wind and I think partly just white noise on a white noise app on my phone. The tricky part is that then I have to turn the screen on, but late at night if I start getting to the point where I'm like, what's that noise? Who's in my house? Is that a rat under my bed? It's good. It's a good tuning out. There was also a while this winter when I couldn't get to sleep one night, and I listened to Sufjan Stevens' album Carrie and Lowell, which is so sad. And it worked. I cried profusely, and then I was so tired from crying and the peaceful music that I fell asleep. So, good job, Sufjan. What else do I do? Sometimes I tense my muscles purposely. I'll like clench my hands and straighten my legs and hold my muscles as tense as I can for like 10 or 20 seconds, then I'll relax them. And when I was in high school during PE, every once in a while we'd have these periods where the teacher would guide us through this where we'd tense and then relax gradually our whole body, and then we would try and take power naps. I could never fall asleep. It helps for this sometimes. And then the oldie but goodie is, of course, tea. I suppose I could technically have decaf, but there's something really nice about having some sleepy time, which my dad would always give me when I was little and I couldn't sleep, and just hunkering down on the couch and taking some time away from my bed to enjoy the dark and use that time where I'm not sleeping as a calming time, not a time to stress out about the sleep I'm not getting. And ultimately it works sometimes. I cycle through things, and I haven't had a night totally without sleep, even at the worst. So, here's to you guys.